Antarctica, the coldest, windiest, driest place on Earth. Beneath the ice lies a secret history of the planet, frozen in time. Sometimes it holds something far more dangerous. The ice core emerged, a cylinder of frozen history. Scientists, eager to unlock its secrets, found something sinister. Deep within, they discovered a virus. This ancient, deadly virus could unleash a plague unlike anything the world had ever seen. In Asia, a research facility studied the Antarctic virus, codenamed Pandora. The elite team, led by Dr. Chen, felt unease facing this microscopic enemy. The lab was a hive of activity, every move calculated. One mistake could have catastrophic consequences. Dr. Chen noticed the virus mutating at an accelerated rate. "There's been an anomaly," he announced. The idea of a virus outsmarting them was unsettling. "We need to exercise extreme caution." Dr. Kim, infected, continued his work, unaware. He dismissed symptoms as fatigue, but they worsened. The virus had breached their defenses. Scientists watched in fear as Dr. Kim deteriorated. Dr. Kim, losing control, stumbled through the lab. Dr. Singh approached cautiously, concerned. Dr. Kim snarled, "Stay back!" The virus had changed him. The man they knew was gone. Dr. Chen rushed to the corridor, fearing the worst. "Kim, it's me, Chen. We're here to help." Dr. Kim lunged, driven by the virus's influence. The corridor descended into chaos. News of the incident spread, fanning fear. Containment protocols were elevated. Dr. Kim, quarantined, became the epicenter of efforts to combat the virus. The virus had found a way out. The virus slipped into the city undetected. Inside the facility, controlled panic reigned. The first signs of trouble emerged globally. Social media amplified fear and uncertainty. The virus spread relentlessly, unraveling civilization. Cities descended into chaos. Public spaces became arenas of violence. The world watched in horror as everything unraveled. The research facility, now under strict quarantine, became a desperate island of sanity in a sea of madness. The scientists, their numbers dwindling as the virus infiltrated their ranks, worked feverishly, their hopes dwindling with each passing day. They had become prisoners of their own creation, witnesses to the apocalypse they had unwittingly unleashed. Dr. Chen, his face haggard, his eyes shadowed with exhaustion and despair, watched the world burn through the grainy feed of a security camera. He saw the riots, the violence, the utter breakdown of order, and knew that he was partly responsible. The weight of his failure, the knowledge that he had played a role in unleashing this nightmare, pressed upon him with crushing weight. A chilling silence descended upon the facility as the outside world slipped further into chaos. The constant hum of machinery, the once familiar sounds of scientific endeavors, now served as a constant reminder of their failure. The echoes of madness carried on the airwaves seemed to seep through the reinforced walls, a constant threat to the fragile grip they still held on their own sanity. The news reports became increasingly fragmented. The anchors' voices strained, their faces etched with fear and disbelief as they reported on the escalating chaos. Governments were collapsing, borders dissolving as the virus spread like a shockwave, leaving anarchy and violence in its wake. The world, once a tapestry of diverse cultures and interconnected societies, was rapidly descending into a primal struggle for survival. On a quiet suburban street lined with manicured lawns and brightly painted houses, the virus's insidious effects were beginning to take hold. The Thompson family, once the picture of normalcy, found their lives irrevocably shattered, a microcosm of the societal breakdown gripping the world. John Thompson, a mild-mannered accountant, known for his meticulous lawn care, sat at the dinner table, his eyes fixed on the television screen. The newscaster's voice, usually a comforting presence in the background, now spoke of escalating violence, of cities teetering on the brink of collapse. John, a creature of habit and routine, struggled to reconcile the images on the screen with the familiar sights and sounds of his own home. Across the table, his wife, Mary, a kindergarten teacher known for her patience and sunny disposition, struggled to maintain her composure. The children, 10-year-old Emily and 8-year-old Ethan, sensed their parents' growing anxiety, their usual boisterous energy, replaced by an unsettling quiet. The virus, once a distant threat confined to news reports and whispered conversations, had invaded their sanctuary, casting a long, dark shadow over their once peaceful existence. As the days turned into nights, the familiar rhythms of their lives were replaced by a growing sense of unease and dread. Sleep, once a refuge from the day's worries, became a battlefield of unsettling dreams and sudden awakenings. The sound of sirens, once a distant annoyance, became a chilling reminder of the chaos engulfing the world beyond their doorstep. The virus, they realized, was not some abstract threat, some distant horror confined to television screens. It was here, in their neighborhood, in their homes, in the very air they breathed. The night was punctuated by the sounds of breaking glass, of shouting and screaming, of car alarms wailing like wounded animals. John, armed with a baseball bat, his hands slick with sweat, patrolled the house, his every sense on high alert. Mary, her face pale, her lips moving in silent prayer, comforted the children, her voice a trembling beacon of hope. John peered out from behind the curtains, watching the chaos unfold on his own street. The virus had breached their defenses, and the world they knew was gone. The thin veneer of civility that held their community together began to crack and crumble. The world outside their home descended into anarchy. The virus spread with terrifying speed, leaving a trail of broken lives and shattered dreams. Governments toppled, their systems collapsing under the weight of their own impotence. The rule of law was replaced by the law of the jungle. Inside the research facility, Dr. Chen and his team watched in horror. The virus, their creation, had become a global nightmare. They had failed to protect humanity. It's spreading faster than we predicted. Dr. Singh's voice was devoid of emotion. He stood beside Dr. Chen, eyes fixed on a monitor displaying a world map illuminated by a spreading red glow. Dr. Chen nodded, unable to speak. He had dedicated his life to fighting disease, and now he had become the architect of its destruction. We have to find a way to stop it. We have to find a cure. Dr. Chen looked at him, a flicker of hope sparking in his weary eyes. He knew the odds were against them, but they couldn't give up. The fight for humanity's survival had just begun. The research facility, once a beacon of scientific progress, now stood as a desolate monument to human fallibility. The once bustling laboratories, now eerily silent, were littered with the remnants of abandoned experiments, a testament to the frantic but ultimately futile race against time. The weight of failure hung heavy in the air, a suffocating presence that permeated every corridor, every room. Dr. Chen, his face gaunt, his eyes hollowed by fatigue and despair, moved through the deserted hallways like a ghost, haunted by the echoes of a world lost. The few remaining members of his team, their spirits broken by the relentless onslaught of bad news, clung to their posts out of a sense of duty, their hope dwindling with each passing day. The outside world, now a chaotic tapestry of violence and desperation, pressed against the facility's reinforced walls, a constant reminder of the catastrophe they had unleashed. The hum of generators, the only source of power in a city plunged into darkness, provided a constant, unsettling soundtrack to their dwindling hope. The virus, as if mocking their efforts, continued its relentless spread, breaching borders and defying quarantines with terrifying ease. The news reports, now little more than garbled distress calls from a dying world, painted a grim picture of societal collapse, of governments toppled, of cities transformed into lawless battlegrounds where the infected turned on the uninfected with animalistic fury. The weight of their failure pressed down on Dr. Chen and his team with crushing finality. The silence of the abandoned laboratories, once alive with the hum of scientific inquiry, now echoed with the unspoken accusations of a world teetering on the brink. The virus, their creation, had become the ultimate judge, jury, and executioner. It had exposed the fragility of their carefully constructed civilizations. Dr. Chen, his gaze fixed on the desolate landscape, felt a profound sense of emptiness. The world he had known was gone, replaced by a horrifying new reality. The Antarctic virus, Pandora, had reshaped the world into a grotesque reflection of its former self. Gone were the comforting illusions of order and control, replaced by the raw, untamed instincts that had always simmered beneath the surface of humanity. The virus hadn't destroyed the world, it had simply stripped away the pretense, revealing the chaos that had always been there, waiting for its chance to break free. Inside the deserted lab, Dr. Chen finally succumbed to exhaustion, collapsing amidst the wreckage of his shattered dreams. He had dedicated his life to science, believing in its power to heal, to protect, to elevate humanity. But science, he now realized, was a double-edged sword. In their quest to understand the natural world, they had stumbled upon a truth too terrible to comprehend, a truth that had shattered the foundations of their carefully constructed reality. The world outside was eerily silent, the cacophony of chaos replaced by a haunting stillness. The virus, its work done, had retreated, leaving behind a shattered world and a chilling question. What remained when the filters of civilization were stripped away? Was humanity, at its core, nothing more than a collection of base instincts, forever teetering on the precipice of self-destruction? The echo of that silence reverberated through the empty corridors of the lab, a stark reminder of the price of unchecked ambition, of the terrifying consequences of unlocking secrets better left buried beneath the ice. The world had changed irrevocably, and in the ashes of what was, a terrifying new order was beginning to emerge. An order ruled not by reason or compassion, but by the brutal dictates of survival in a world forever scarred by the touch of Pandora.